Today, I am very excited to be with the one and only Kevin Dubrosky. He is a friend of mine. He is somebody who I really, really look up to. I look at him as a mentor. I'm very, very fortunate and grateful to have him in my life, and to be able to read his many, many books. I'm such a fan of his work. Primarily, recently, his latest evolution is as a pricing coach, and he's really got that dialed in over the last few years. And I would say he's one of the most interesting men you'll ever get to meet. He is somebody who I know is like, can we talk about the newest thing? Can we talk about the latest thing?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I take issue with your latest evolution was the pricing thing, because that's obsolete now.
Oh my God, that's already over. We're over it. Okay, so
I still do it, but
I,
it's
I
secondary now.
misspoke. I
That
misspoke
I
because
forgive you. I forgive
and Kevin
you.
Dubrosky is somebody who I would say, if you get a chance to ever connect with him or listen to him or read his work, you are just touched and moved and impacted by the abundance, by the ridiculous amount of brilliance and creativity. And this is not just like trying to blow smoke because I love you, but when you started telling me about this latest project, I was like, huh? Like my brain doesn't even compute. It doesn't even it like the pieces don't even come. I'm like, what are you talking about? So Kevin's actual latest evolution is that he is about to launch a hedge fund.
Yeah,
And I'm excited to have you on the show today to share your wisdom. Thank you so much for being with me.
it's a pleasure. Wisdom feels strong, but I can share what I've learned and how I think and what I'm feeling anyway. And I'll leave it to you as to whether or not there's any wisdom in it, but I can share where I'm at with that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, since that's the probably the most recent and the thing that you are deep into, how like can you speak to like how this all unfolded? I think what's interesting is 'cause I know a little bit of the backstory. I feel like it kind of speaks to just the way that you live your life and how you approach your relationships and how you um, position your value in terms of how you are here to impact the people around you, the world around you. And I feel like things came into place because of that paradigm that you live from. I feel like that's kind of part of how this all came together. Are you able to share about that?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think we all have so many gifts for the world. And sometimes we put ourselves in boxes and we think that we are a certain thing. You know, we use these judgy labels. Every label's judgy. Coach is judgy. Maybe you're an amazing coach that helps people overcome spiritual bankruptcy, but that's only what you've done the last dozen years. I mean, the next three might be totally different for you. But if we get too attached to these labels, then we can't kind of move into those things that we might feel a soulful connection to, a magnetism towards. Um, and this was just one of those things. I have a friend who a few years ago attended a seminar on pricing mastery, and we had never met in real life, but we stayed in touch on Facebook. And I kept seeing her post pictures on Facebook with her husband, and she was like lovey-dovey with her husband, like endlessly, yeah, smoochy smoochy and romantic pictures and cuddling and they even get married. Like every new place they go, they get married again. So they've been married actually for 5.5 years legally, but they've been married like 13 times in that 5.5 years, like 13 ceremonies. Wherever they go, they do it all over again. So this really beautiful, warm, intimate connection. And when I was in Bali this past February, with Elle, my girlfriend, I was just messaging her on Facebook, and she was telling me a little bit about her husband. And although I've never met him, I've never met her. I've only heard that he's kind of like a genius with like finance stuff. But I never knew anything beyond that sentence. And she started telling me what he was up to, and I was like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, I am very sure. And a little part of my brain like flipped on. And I thought, if this is true, this guy is going to make many people really, really, really rich. Like billionaire, like turn people, like, yeah, 20 times money for people over 3 or 4 years. And then I thought, I know people that would like 20 times the money they currently have. Maybe there's a way for us to work together. And we started talking, and those conversations eventually led to him inviting me to open a new fund with him. He opened his first fund 3 years ago. This will be his second fund, and to roll it out to some ultra high net worth individuals and to raise a few $100 million. And we ended up flying to Dubai, my girlfriend and I, and we actually hung out with him and her. Him and his wife met in real life for the first time. The very first time we met, we stayed up all night smoking cigars and drinking whiskey on the balcony as we looked over the ocean view of the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. And we just kind of bonded on this really deep, soulful level. And I was like, cool, let's fucking go. Let's do this. So yeah, we're launching a hedge fund this summer, and he's got so many things in place already, and he has the track record, he has the investment thesis, he has the credentials. It's just now bringing it to the world. But we also are keeping it kind of like low key. We have no interest in being famous. We have no interest in being on the cover of magazines or on news programs. We don't think that's necessary to be able to help our investors. But yeah, I never thought I'd be launching a hedge fund, but here I am. And we're very close to launching now. We've developed all of the market facing materials. We're getting all the legal stuff together and all the compliance stuff. And yeah, that's probably a long version, but that's kind of it. Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. I'm stoked. I'm mind blown.
Yeah.
Just the way that came together so fluidly. And I think it speaks to your willingness to, to make a connection, to
Mm.
ask, to be a part of contributing somehow, and then kind of taking it on, right? Receiving the call and saying yes, like let's step into it. And here it is. It's about to be a reality, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. And it's all kind of connected to the same conversation about value. Like when I observed the value that he was bringing to the market, it was a no-brainer for me at that point. I'm like, wow, I would love to find a way to work together. And then when I got to know the man and I understood what he stood for as a human and the values he lives by, him and his wife, and sharing space with them and getting to know them as people, I'm like, yeah, it's all about value transfer, really. Relationships and also business stuff. So,
Mm.
yeah, once that became apparent to me, I was like, yeah, amazing. Would love to do this together.
So
And
would
it
you
is, yeah,
say,
to your point, it's like approximately, 1,000 times bigger than anything I've ever attempted before. Elle just walked in. Hey,
hello,
baby.
Al?
Do you want to come? We're in the middle of the podcast. Do you want to say hello?
Say hello.
It's recording.
Hello.
Hey, Al.
How dare you come and not kiss me, first of all? So rude. Thank you. See you later. Okay.
Would you say that being in business for over 2 decades, and so much of it, you were naturally drawn to the pricing dynamics, values, the value that is being delivered, and kind of seeing that, kind of seeing the matrix in a sense when it comes to those aspects of business. Like, was there what is there like a almost like a pattern recognition, like when you talk to somebody and they're sharing with you about their idea or what they're working on or what they're doing, is there like a pattern recognition that just naturally happens and you're just like, wow, I've never heard of anything like this before, this is going to be huge, like this is amazing, or this is like, you are undercharging by, like X amount of dollars, like you, like this, like people would value this way more, like what are you doing, like how does that work for you behind the scenes, like in your head?
I think that exactly the way you just said, and I believe every person watching this has that same capacity. That when I think we actually spend most of our days doing that exact thing. We walk around looking for discrepancies and asymmetrical balances between what we're getting and what it costs, or what people are offering and what they're receiving. And we're always amazed when there's these things that we don't understand. Why is that so cheap? And the thing that's cheap might be a $30 million investment in a hedge fund. That might be super cheap because it's going to make you, like $600 million in 4 years. Or it could be buying a house in the Hollywood Hills, around the corner from me for 30 million, because that's going to open doors and connections, and be an environment where you can have conversations that kind of need that setting. If there is, a situation where that would be the optimal way to bring something into existence. And I think, yeah, we all have that. What you just articulated it beautifully. I'll just say yes to what you said. It's this thing where and what's really cool, Oliver, is that none of it is objective. It's only subjective. And I make the point in this book, my latest book, that everything for sale is actually inherently garbage, including this book, and including and including everything, including this microphone. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
I hit mute accidentally. Including this whiskey that I'm drinking, like this glass that it came in, this shirt. Like, it's not actually worth anything. It's only worth something conditionally, circumstantially, temporarily. At some times, under some conditions, for a certain kind of people, for a certain kind of person. So that's what's kind of cool. It's like,
It's in the eye of the beholder,
it's in the eye of the beholder. So it doesn't,
isn't it?
there's no inherent value to any of it. Even the American dollar, you could say, is the most valuable product on the planet. But only to most people, but not all people. There's some people who are like, who cares about that? I don't care about that. Who are off grid and who hunt and who just eat everything they kill and who don't care about money anymore. Maybe gave it all away. American dollar is worth nothing, even though it's objectively the most valuable product on the planet. It still isn't. It's only everything is only subjectively of value, service, or product, which is kind of cool, because it's like, it goes back to this like spiritual overarching idea that we create meaning. There is no such thing as intrinsic meaning. There is only that which we create, which is kind of cool. And when a lot of people like the same stuff, then, there's a market that's willing to pay a lot of money, usually, that accompanies that.
Mm. Yeah, what's valuable to one person might not necessarily be valuable to another person.
It usually isn't.
Mm.
Like I know you play the ukulele. Yes?
Yeah. Well, kind. I play guitar more. I know one song
And
on the
guitar, and
ukulele.
guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and guitar. Fine, guitar. Um, I don't play guitar. I don't care about guitars. Like, L
Plays
loves
guitar.
guitars, and we have four or five right now in the other room, in our music room. But I don't think I'd ever spend $20 on a guitar, because I'm like, I have no need for that. And she buys guitar after guitar after guitar after guitar. a travel guitar and
Mm.
a nostalgic guitar and a new guitar and this many strings and this kind of wood and this size. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Which is, I think that's such. I feel like we all need to be reminded of that reality. I think we understand it at a base level, but we don't necessarily connect that dot when it comes to the work that we're doing, our business, because it's like you the right person who values the thing that you are offering at the time that they need it, right? Where they have the problem or the pain that's relevant to what you are providing as a solution, and the value is commensurate to that, is it not? And I think the struggle is when people aren't buying your stuff. You're like, why like it's so great. How come this person? How come that person? How come no one's buying it? But it's not. But it's maybe it's not the person. Maybe it's not the like that's not for them, right? If the value's in the eye of the beholder, um,
At that time.
at that
Yeah.
time, and it shifts and it changes
Every
as well.
moment. Every moment.
Because sometimes you're like, well, even though Elle likes and loves guitars and has four of them, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's in need of another one. It's not like unless she had some sort of reason, right? Like an obsession with a new guitar of like, oh, this one I gotta have because of these reasons. Just because she loves guitars doesn't mean she's actually in the market for it. So it's interesting how we can value something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are looking to make a purchase or an investment in that thing. Like if the need isn't there
Or the want.
or the want.
Yeah. And it's funny, even hearing you speak about guitars, I was thinking, I think Al has kind of messed my guitar calibration up now. Because if I was to actually come across a guitar for sale from some famous player that I've heard her speak of, that was, within my means to obtain without me thinking it's kind of insane to get it, I might consider that purchase. So that's something that wouldn't have happened, a year and a half ago. I just didn't
Mm,
care. So sometimes it's that too, it's for other people that we make these investments, these hedonistic investments. Yeah, it's not
wow.
utilitarian. Yeah.
Do you feel like in some ways value opens up kind of worlds in a way where when you meet somebody who owns something or collects things that you don't care about, that you're just like, oh wow, that's actually really fascinating. That's that's actually really cool. I did not think about why collecting I don't know, like you name it.
Yeah, I think
Watches is like what's the point in having a watch? Like you have a phone to tell the time, but then as soon as you get into the rabbit hole and see other people who find value in these purpose-driven tools and the reason that they are made and built and the history behind them, you're like, oh wait, actually, huh, I can see why this person might value and spend what I might think is crazy or like someone else might think is crazy amounts or things that we just love and enjoy or
Yeah, and I think there's also a distinction between I can see why they would want to do that and I want to do that. Because it doesn't make me want to learn guitar. It doesn't make me care about guitars beyond it bringing joy to L.
mm,
So, like her shoe collection eclipses mine by a magnitude of approximately 20, and it doesn't make me go, I need more shoes in my life. I'm cool. But I get why she would want that many. She's got all these bags and they have, they're all the fancy names and all the right, status symbols and but she didn't buy it for status and
hmm.
I don't mean
Hey,
it
would
that way,
you
but I just don't care. Yeah,
there's
but she
something
did,
that
but it's kind of
there's
cool to
something that I
her.
noticed with Janet, with my wife, where there's moments where it's like I realized if it matters to her, it matters to me. But it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean that I'm gonna buy all the shoes because she has the shoes or whatever. But it's like
yeah,
there's a level of valuing it, and I think that's
yeah. Well, it's because you value her,
hmm
and whatever she likes suddenly becomes an object that you value only to make her feel valued, or hoping that she does. Yeah, like I don't think. When's the last time you got flowers as a gift for you?
for myself,
Recipient.
where I bought
Ever?
them for myself.
No, no. Somebody gave you flowers.
Oh, somebody gave me flowers. I feel like as men,
I'm just saying, when's the last
I
time
don't
you
think
had
we
someone
get.
gave you flowers?
I can't remember.
Has it happened?
I don't think
Ever?
so. I don't think so.
Are you
I
secretly
love
sad
buying
that
flowers.
are you secretly sad that nobody has ever bought you flowers?
Well, now I am.
You should
Now I'm
be
just
because it
like,
means nobody loves you. No, just kidding.
dude, I love buying flowers.
We're not talking about buying. We're talking
No,
about
but it's
getting.
amazing. It's amazing how
Huh.
we can love. I
Mhm.
want we can love or value something that we give to others, but
Hmm.
have no thought of like, oh, no one ever got that for me. Interesting.
Because it might not matter to us.
Yeah.
Like Elle wasn't feeling good a few days ago, and I got her some flowers. Like every dude does who's in a relationship, heterosexual relationship with a woman. I don't know, maybe gay dudes like flowers as much as women do. I'm not even sure on the flower metric. I haven't seen any data or graphs speaking to that. But yeah, she loves it when she gets a few flowers. It like lights her up and she smells them every day and it just keeps bringing her joy. And I've never felt like a flower void in my life.
Mm.
But for her it would be a void if it didn't happen. She would part of her would think, man, I want some flowers in my life. Well, that's cool. And that's, yeah, it's a great example of how we're all different. And when it comes to selling whatever we're selling for an appropriate fee, it comes down to figuring out, you know, what kind of person would love what I have the most and extract the most value from it and therefore be willing to pay, the highest possible price with joy and loving us for making that available as an option for them. That's really what it comes down to. That's
Mm.
really the whole book is
Wow,
that.
I love that
Like,
sentence. Yeah, so double your profits by Friday, in a
yeah,
nutshell, is who would value what I have the most. Is
that's
that how
right.
you put it?
Yeah.
I
And
think
what's
that is
cool.
like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
such a simple,
Yeah.
but man, like, I feel like I've been working on that question for years since we started talking, since you started, teaching this to me. And it just keeps evolving and it keeps shifting. Like there's levels of it. Um, so it's not just like this, now you got your answer, here it is. It's something to really sit with
Yeah.
because
And
we're
if there's a
narrow. I feel like
yeah,
we're
and
narrow. I
we
feel
get our
like we're
feeling and we get
narrow-minded.
I think so too. And we take it so personally, like we get our feelings hurt as entrepreneurs when somebody says anything negative about our stuff. Whatever we sell. We're like, how dare you? Don't you know how amazing this is? Don't you know how much work went into it? Don't you know I have been studying this for 37 years? Don't you know who I am? And it's like, who cares? None of that matters, bro. Like it fucking doesn't matter. But it's cool because it's our ego, wanting
Yeah.
validation. But the stuff we sell has nothing to do with our ego. It's a gift for the world that we're willing to part with for money. And
Mm.
that money has energy, and that energetic investment on their part will affect the level to which they engage with the gift that we've created and made available.
Hmm.
So we have to get it right. And of
So,
course, the more we get it right, the more they win and we win and everybody else that is in our lives wins. Yeah.
so I feel like this is a good transition point to um, where the market, at least where like that I'm exposed to, like where the market is at. So I feel like we can get really precious about look, I worked so hard. Don't you know how amazing like what you're talking about, right? And we have to be a little bit more detached.
Yeah.
But, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it might look one way. Like, here's my dream client. Here's how I help them. Here's the result I deliver. Here's how much I charge. Here's what it's actually worth. But the reality is, I talk to a lot of people, and this is myself included, who in the last 12 to 18 months have been hit very hard economically, financially, revenue wise. So, a lot of people are struggling. So that's why it kind of gets it's so interesting, right? To like talk about like value and money and charging more for what you're delivering and all this when there are like real struggles. A lot of businesses who are tight right now. And so I think in
Mm.
some ways where like if this was the market before of like who might be the potential buyer, I wonder if it's just like this much more. Like there's far less of those people. And is it like what would you recommend? Is it something to do like yeah, what are your thoughts on that in general before we go even more granular?
I think it's a reticular activating system thing, and it's what we are paying attention to. It's like when you get like fucking Cybertrucks in LA. I see a Cybertruck like every day, maybe three a day now, and you didn't see any. But now I'm like, oh yeah, fucking Cybertruck. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And I think if the people that we're close to are experiencing struggle, we're like, oh my God, there's struggle everywhere. Oh, there's more struggle. Oh, there's more struggle. Oh my God, there's more struggle. And I believe struggle and ease and abundance have always coexisted.
Mm.
It's just that we kind of attach ourselves to different sides of the coin depending on where we're at. But it's all in front of us all of the time. I guarantee that if you were to go out and buy a Rolls Royce SUV tomorrow, you would start noticing every Rolls Royce SUV. And you'd be like, oh, I thought I was the only one. Even there's like a zillion of these things kicking around out there. There's so much money out there, Oliver, just looking for a place to go. So much money.
And that's kind of
And
like
actually,
the
that gets
the
okay.
mindset that I keep trying to um I think that's just the reminder that I kind of have for myself and for others when this topic comes up is that it's like yeah, like I get it, but also at the same time, I think there is still like there's clearly people still spending money
A lot of money.
and it's being reallocated in different ways. Maybe it's people's values and what matters at this moment is shifting. Like, do you think, like, I get the reticular activating system aspect in terms of like what you are around and what you hear about and what you think
What you
about
focus
and you see
on.
what you focus on, it's what you see more of. But what would you say, like, what could you recommend the business owner, the entrepreneur who's facing, some of these issues? Like, is it because I think a lot of them are like, do I add, I have one client, I asked some people what question they would have for you. One of them said, should I add more services before I increase my prices? So I think people have different versions of that question, right? Like, do I do more for my clients? Do I change what I'm doing? Do I change who I'm doing it for? Because what was working 2 years ago or 3 years ago isn't working. Like, what ways would you try to get into kind of unpacking that?
For someone who's struggling to secure clients.
Yeah.
First of all, maybe this is a great chance to add a detail, and that none of this works unless you are actually world class at what you do. So this doesn't work if you are just kind of a run of the mill, middle of the market kind of vendor. I can't help you if that's true of you. But if you are actually delivering something remarkable, I think what's happening is that you are maybe not clear on how fucking cool it is for the people that, could benefit the most from it. I call that, in my book, I talk about this. I call it value dysmorphia. Like we lose sight
Mm.
of this incredible thing that we have, and we dismiss it, and we give it away, and we sell it cheap. But we have a Rolls Royce, and we're selling it for Toyota prices. We're trying to we feel economic pressure from the Camry. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what? Why don't you just stop, pause, stop. Spend a little bit of time reconnecting with the nature and extent of your contribution. And then ask yourself, what kind of person could take this magic that I have and achieve an incredible result as due to this transformation that I can help them facilitate? What kind of person stands to gain the most? And maybe start to, you know, speak to those people more often. It's as simple as that often. Um, yeah, there's this disconnect. It's like, and it's also where you are, right? Like if you had a Rolls Royce dealership in small town Ontario, Canada, you're done. You will go bankrupt because it is the wrong spot. My friend calls that fishing in the desert.
Mm.
Stop. It's not that there's no fish. It's that you're in the wrong spot. Move to where there's fish that, like the little worms that are wiggling that you can offer them. I think
Well, so
that's part of it.
I
Yeah.
think that's actually a really amazing point because it kind of speaks to the clinging to an old identity of like, I am the coach who helps eradicate spiritual bankruptcy for these people. But what if I went left small town Ontario and I left trying to fish in the desert and I actually went to a new place where what I'm offering, it might be it's almost like the essence of it is the same thing, but the people there value it. Does that make sense? Is that kind
This
of
is
like
yeah, totally.
the
This is the point.
adjustment that you're thinking about? Like is that
This is the
the
point. Yeah, the essence is the same. Change nothing. Do not, to answer the individual you quoted, add no services. Change nothing. You already are where you need to be. It's just that you aren't seeing it. So you need space to just kind of stop and re-experience the magic that you're bringing to the world. So you can actually look at it with some fresh eyes. That's kind of what this does. It gives you some fresh eyes to go, okay, wait, what do I have? What does this do? You know, like and a great example that's accessible that all of us can relate to quickly is that restaurants over the past 5 or 6 years especially have stopped being about good food. Was that thunder? Was that thunder?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That was the universe being like, that's
That's a
right.
sign.
Fuck
That's a
food.
sign.
But what are restaurants about? Why do people spend a stupid amount of money to eat crappy food? It's because the ambiance is amazing. It's because the bathrooms are Instagrammable. It's because when they give you your cocktail, which is made with
Smoke.
rail quality, yeah, it's like smoke and dry ice, and it's got little baby ferns beside it, and they scrape some old lemon from last week onto it, and you think it's so beautiful, and they spritz it, and there's little sparks, and it's all crappy food. But people spend hundreds of dollars on crappy food every day, which is kind of amazing. It's like people don't even eat out now for food anymore.
It's
They eat out
so it's
for the
entertainment.
gram and
Is that
entertainment.
what it is? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so if we miss, like, we have to not use our, this is amazing. We have to not have our narrow-mindedness get in the way of what is actually happening in front of us. Because if someone says, let's go out to eat, and it's like this many dollars, you're like, really? We can go eat at home and like eat better food, have better quality food, more delicious. Like
Yeah.
we're good home cooks these days. A lot of people are great home cooks these days. Thank you, YouTube. But um, if the customer has like what they value is, oh, Instagrammable, oh, entertainment, oh, beauty, like presentation, like it's not just will this provide nutrients, will this fill my belly, will it help me get to the end of the day before I have dinner.
Yeah, none of that matters.
None of that matters. It's like
No.
there's a whole other value proposition to
They
that
may
thing.
not even
So
eat it. They might not even eat it. They might go to McDonald's after or Taco Bell for real. It's not about that stuff.
that's
Exactly, which is
amazing.
it's amazing. And
That's amazing.
and it's true of what we sell maybe also. Like people aren't hiring us maybe for the thing that we think they're doing. I heard a great point about yachts. I heard Alan Watts talking about yachts back in the 80s and 70s in Sausalito, California. He said it's full, and every year there's new yachts that get added to the harbor. None of those fucking yachts ever leave the harbor.
Well, I'm in Oakville.
Yeah,
There's so many boats that are.
yeah,
I don't see
that can
any.
go out every summer for 3 months, right?
Yeah,
And so
five
many
to ten
boats,
percent of them probably make it out.
five to the other night. So why are you owning a boat? It's because, well, I don't know about. Well, I mean, Oakville is the worst because it's only warm like a few months out of the year. But like
Yeah,
California,
exactly.
but even Oakville, like, yeah, it'd be so dumb to own a boat in Oakville, but thousands of people own boats and they spend a lot of money because they want to host dinner parties on the boat. They want to be part of a yacht club. They
Mm.
want to take a customer onto the boat. They want to attract maybe someone from the opposite or from someone that they're into, as a romantic potential partner. They want to impress them. They think the boat will help with that. It's like bottle service. That is a service. It's actually called bottle service, like at clubs. It's so funny. Like you can go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of vodka, and at the club, it's like 20 times the price. Because girls will come and like dance, and they'll have a little sign with your name on it for like 30 seconds. And you can put that on Instagram, or you can have that moment where you're like, yes, I'm the
Look
king
at
of the club
us.
for 30 seconds.
We have this booth. We have this
Woo!
service. Bring the bottles.
There's clubs
Very
now,
different.
Oliver, that there's competitions of guys just ordering bottles and dumping them out, not even drinking them, to show like this is how rich I am. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like it's hilarious. It's hilarious,
Oh
but
my goodness.
it's just people being people, and it's just figuring out what do the people that I can serve at the highest level want from something that I can offer. Like what can it give them that they can only get from me? Yeah, and it's not dishonoring it. Like I don't hate on those guys that spend $30,000 at the club and just dump out all the, tequila and cognac and whatever. I don't hate on them. It's like cool. Like I hope it gives you what you were looking for, bro. Like it's not worse than someone investing it in something that's going to help their kid to go to college. It's not worse.
Hmm.
It's just what they want, and it's a human seeking fulfillment and joy and desire and love, expressing desire and seeking. It's beautiful. It's just humans being human. So and all of it's equal. None of it is worse or better than anything, which is kind of a cool place to be in because we separate ourselves out at that point. That's nothing to do with us. We don't have to be offended. We don't have to be angry. We don't have to be slighted. No, fuck all that. How can we contribute to this really cool thing called humanity
Hmm.
and sell some really cool shit to the right kind of person?
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you remove the judgment around it. When you remove the like not hating on it, and it's like this people do what people do. And
People do it. Yeah, that's beautifully
I think
said.
when you do the math of oh, they bought the boat to be part of the yacht club, to have friends, to take pictures. It's like, oh, they don't have to buy a boat because they're gonna just use the boat. What they value is all these other things, and
Well, they are
that's
using
human
the boat.
nature.
They are
Yeah, they are.
using it.
They're using it in a different way. They're not using
Yeah,
it in the, oh, it's a boat, put it in
to
the
go on
water.
water, like to float
Exactly.
and
But
stuff.
I think
Yeah.
it's, as soon as we understand the context behind it, you're like, oh, I get why this person spent this much money and owns a boat. Rather than like, without looking further, there could be some judgment, there could be some criticism. And I think that I think it's important that we work to apply that when it comes to the work that we do and the people we're here to serve, and not just be thinking, oh, they want, you know, 20 hours of training videos, like, or that they want X amount of sessions with me, or they want
No. Yeah, a hundred
like,
percent. They don't fucking want any of that stuff.
yeah.
They want the outcome. So even, you know what's funny, Oliver? For the first time ever in my life, as you said that, what came up for me with you and your services, if we were to, if at the time that this conversation is released to the public, you are still offering services for people who are spiritually bankrupt. I think of someone who's an ultra high net worth individual whose marriage is on the rocks and their partner has said to them, "You are spiritually bankrupt." And to prove that there is some sort of there's more thunder, some sort of like repentance or
Right when you
like
said repentance.
repentance. Like to prove that there's some contrition and a desire to move in a new direction, they might hire someone like you as an act of faith expressed to the partner. It's like that's a great example of how you are not there actually. Like your primary role is to convince their partner that they are moving in the right direction. And even if they skip half of your sessions and barely show up, that might be enough at that time to repair the relationship and to stay together and to be able to help them continue to work it out. And I mean, if
So
they
there,
actually listen to you, then you can help them. But even if they didn't listen to you, that's a
this
good
is
example
actually
of
like one of the most
yeah.
recent discovery calls that I had was, my friends and my family think that I need to get an outside opinion on what my life path is, on the direction in my life. And it was actually, setting up the call with me to talk about working together was part of that, delivering the result of, hey, I'm doing my part. I'm taking your advice to get an outside opinion for more direction and clarity on my life path. So I booked a call with Oliver. So it's so interesting how, like, some of these the reasons behind why someone might buy or explore opportunities with you, are beyond what we are even thinking about. Like, I know for me, like, when it came to the time when, you had your course and you were helping me with my proposals, and I was like really trying to dial this in with, the next proposal, the next proposal, the next proposal, and just trying to get really, really clear. What the most fascinating aspect of that for me was, because I got more and more feedback, I asked for the feedback of, what did you get from the coaching, right? From past clients. And I kept asking myself, well, who would really value that? And I started to focus in on a different kind of person who would still need the same thing I can deliver with the same type of work, not adding new services, not changing everything that I do. It's like, no, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just pointing it over here. And I was confident that I'm great at what I do, world class, as you would say. And that is actually what created the breakthrough, where the next proposal was twice as much as the last proposal. And it kind of, and another one and another one and another one. And it created it was such a beautiful thing to take from intellectually understanding to experientially having that happen, of like, oh my God, the best client experiences, the easiest people to work with, the easiest results to deliver, they listen, they take action, they do all the things, and they have some of the most profound results, and they pay, and it's
Yeah.
I'm so like I think it's such a beautiful thing to for us to like it's an exercise for us to think about like what are they actually getting?
Yeah. Cool. And there's a really uncomfortable moment when we're doing this kind of work where we come to the realization that the little people who are dirt poor are not worth more than the fucking rich people who are flush. They're not intrinsically worth more as people.
Can you expand on that?
Humans are humans, and all human life is priceless. All of it. From that little homeless boy that's born in Sudan today, in Darfur, to a kid born in Long Island today. Trust fund baby who's going to be rich and never have to work a day in his life. Like, there's nothing better about either of them.
This
And
is
some,
a beautiful part because
mm,
how many times do I see someone saying charge what you're worth?
yeah, so fucking toxic.
Can you elaborate on these toxic
Hmm.
money mindset
Yeah.
pricing dynamics?
Yeah, I think charge what you're worth might be some of the most dangerous advice we hear. And sadly, it's the most popular and the most repeated because it's actually making us think that humans have a price tag, making us think that there is some way to quantify the value of an individual. So it creates some blurriness. There's a conflation of the value of your contribution, the value of you intrinsically as a person. And I think it's driven by like some noble things. It's driven from like a you deserve it, um, which again is not true. We don't deserve anything. Like we're people doing stuff and looking for ways to help each other, help and serve. None of us deserve anything. What are you talking about? You deserve it. Why do you deserve it? Because you're alive? Fuck that. Contribute. If you want an upside, contribute to humanity. If you want some stuff, help other people get what they want. Like these are not my ideas. I'm just repeating what people figured out a very long time ago. And this worthiness stuff messes what? You think you're worth Jeff Bezos is worth 200 million. No, that's not what he's worth. No, that's how much money. That's the worth of the shit that he owns. Jeff Bezos is priceless. But so is that little baby born in the middle of Syria today. Also priceless. What are you talking about? Charge what you're worth. What? You think there's no amount of money. Like in 2020, Forbes actually tried to figure out, okay, how much money would it take to buy everything on planet Earth? Like everything. Every building, every picture frame, every chair, every feather, every thermostat, every ounce of whiskey, every Rolls Royce, every Camry, every cell phone, every fucking thing. Every tank, every bullet, every patch of land, every factory, every stock in every market. And the answer is 431 trillion. 431T.
Hmm.
And my reflection on that is that one fucking human is worth far more than that, 431 trillion. So what are we talking about with this worth crap? Why are we fucking with ourselves? Like that is terrible, terrible advice. And it messes with us, and it harms our ability to be able to serve our clients and to be able to even look at ourselves in the mirror and like value this incredible thing that is humanity. So I call it toxic. It's fucking toxic.
Is that one of the worst ones?
I think it's the worst in terms of like fucks with us the
Because
most,
it's our
and
own
like
value.
it just
Like
creates
it's our
problems.
value, not the value of what we are doing, or,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, Our price has nothing to do with our value. It has to do with the value of the contribution that we're offering, that we're bringing to the market. Yeah, toxic in terms of like, I mean, toxicity by definition is something that is poisoning us, right? So it poisons
Making us
our
sick.
make, and even I think toxicity often might include a deadly component. So we often can use deadly and toxic interchangeably. So I mean, toxins are not good for us if we want to live longer, if we want to be healthy. So
Mm.
yeah, it's not helpful. And that's what it kind of comes down to. We talked about like the fact that meaning is kind of created on the spot, on demand, and it all depends on outcome. So if we want to be able to get to a place where our services are being sold at a fee that is appropriately stratospherically or mesospherically high, given the nature of our world-class interventions, then toxic shit needs to be expunged from our methods, from the way we think about the world and ourselves. Yeah, which is why one of the reasons I wrote the book, help people do that.
What do you think? What was the hardest one for you? Because like
I
I
think
think for
time or
me,
effort. Time or effort. I think time, because yeah, that was the most, because my first experiences with receiving money had to do with an hourly wage, like many of us. So I was conditioned to believe, and my parents too were raised, well, I shouldn't say were raised, their entire employment experience had to do with an hourly wage scenario, whether it's hourly or monthly or whatever. It's a salary for time. I give you money, you show up this many hours a week. Um, so that one definitely messed with me. Also effort though, if it's easy and I'm there already. And the other one, I would say the top three that have messed with me is also fairness, a perception of fairness. It's funny, I heard Ram Dass talk about this recently. I listened to a thing where he said he always wrestled with charging more for his stuff because he thought everybody has like his uncle, his friend, his best friend. And I can relate to that. And when I heard Ram Dass say that, I realized he hadn't done enough work around that to actually uh, move into a place where he would feel amazing charging his friend full price. And my best friend right now in the world, I charge him full price for my services when I offer him consulting, because I think it is an act of love.
Hmm.
And he knows that. I
Because
know
it's your
that.
gift.
It's a fucking gift, and the price that I charge is reflective of the amazing fucking nature of the gift. So it's possible to get to a place where you feel amazing charging people full fee because you know that they are getting exponential returns on those investments. And in my book, I actually speak
Mm.
of the appropriate exponential relationship between investment and returns
Mm.
that has been unearthed the last few decades of study around this stuff. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. So,
Share,
yeah,
share
so
us, share with us the the intention behind putting this into a book and writing your new book.
I think all these kind of things, part of it is that you want to be seen. So I share a lot of stories about my past that got me to this place so people could understand, who I truly am and what has brought me to this place of and these things. But also because I saw that there was so much horrible, dangerous advice being propagated by a lot of influential people, and I was like, fuck, this is not helping these people. And over the 17 years of studying this stuff, I learned a few things that seem to be weirdly not common knowledge. I think that's what happens, right? When we get into something We're like, how does everybody know this? I thought it was kind of obvious. And we have these gifts. Um, so yeah, it was that, and it's cool because even it's serving me well, even with what I'm doing with the hedge fund, because our fee structure, like hedge funds, all have fees, and our fee structure is very different from every other hedge fund out there because of the unique nature of what it is that we're bringing to the market that is not available from any other option, any other alternative investment option. So it's kind of cool. Like it applies to everything. And I think I wanted to kind of figure it all out and be able to present it as a gift to people that were kind of in the same space. They knew they had something cool and knew that their pricing was broken, but weren't exactly sure what to do next to kind of fix it, sort it out.
Was there anything in there that you changed your mind about as you were writing it, editing it, proofreading it, where you're like, wow, no, this is not, maybe I was wrong about this. Maybe it's this now. Like, was there anything that you kind of,
Yeah, the
like
love
an
thing.
area where you grew? Yeah.
The love thing, I would say, is true. That's true of it. So I think not I think, there was a time in days gone by where I've been in like where I would have said no, like friends don't pay and everybody else, gets the full price, like free or full.
Mm.
I heard Seth Godin uses that methodology. I heard that about 5 years ago.
Yeah, free or full price.
Free or full, and I would have been more in that direction, and now I'm like, fuck no, it's full for everyone. Yeah, and
Isn't that like
and
really honoring? That's,
it
I feel like
is,
it,
it
it
is, and
honors what you are delivering. There's a
it's
respect.
and it's love. It's fucking love. You are being a selfish prick to undercharge for the gifts that you have. If you truly have a transformation that's available by virtue of your contribution, you're a fucking idiot. If you're selfish. You're fucking selfish. And it's weird to say that because it doesn't sound right. But it's so true because, especially if your clients need to engage with you at a deep level, they need to invest enough that they will actually show up. Because if they don't, it's just going to be a total waste of money. And they're not going to get the outcome and nobody wins. And so many amazing things are sold on the cheap because people just want to make it available to the. No, you're fucking with all those people because none of them are going to read it. They're not gonna crack it open. Your 700 page, $3 ebook, your course that should be $18,000 you're giving away for free. No one's gonna watch any of that shit. They're gonna opt in. They're not gonna benefit from it. And then you wouldn't have helped them at all. All you've done is become another spam thing they're gonna unfollow and unsubscribe from in 4 months. Like you're not helping people. Yeah. So it's I get riled up when I talk about this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. One of my favorite quotes is from Derek Sivers, where he says, "What's obvious to you is amazing to others."
Yeah. So true.
And I think that's kind of what it speaks to, where it's, these things where you're able to help somebody and produce these transformational results. And you gotta, I remember like my coach saying, just because it's effortless doesn't mean it's worthless. And I'm like,
No,
oh,
amen.
yeah, right.
And
Because,
just because it's hard doesn't mean it's worth anything.
right, the flip side. The flip side,
Just because it's
yeah.
hard doesn't make it valuable.
Just because it's hard doesn't make it valuable. There's another layer to that. And
They're both
so
true. They're both
when
true.
it comes to your book, Double Your Profits by Friday, like what do people like what do people walk away with? What's I mean, the title, I think the title says what the result is, but what else can you
Yeah.
share
So I mean
with the
that's
people who are listening in terms of,
yeah. So if somebody's watching, they can see on the screen right now. The subtitle says How I help my world-class clients double, triple, and 10 times profit margins on their very next transaction. And I say zero exceptions, zero excuses. And I say that with full confidence because I've never come across a world-class entrepreneur that isn't fucking up their pricing, which is kind of crazy to me, but it's true. You can't show me one. Show me anybody. I don't care. Show me anybody. And I will pull apart their messaging and pull apart their offers and I will show you where they're fucking up their pricing. It's so weird. It's a weird fucking thing. So that's what I offer. I offer a way for you to double, triple, or 10 times your profit on your very next transaction. And if you decide, like if you really want to fully integrate, apply everything in the book, it can be every transaction moving forward. And then it unlocks a lot of optionality for you, including the option of not working as much. So you can have time for life outside of your career, which is also beautiful. You can paint and you can game and you can play softball and you can go for meandering walks on the beach and you can sleep and you can read shit and you can learn
Oh,
pottery and you can learn a language. You can spend time in bed sleeping until noon with your lover on a Tuesday. And you can, take that trip and you can buy the car and you can work 3 hours a week if you want. It just gives you space to actually be like, okay, what is this thing, this incarnation really seeking this time around? Yeah, so it's cool. It does all that.
do you ever? I know we have a few. We're over time. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Like 5 to 10 more minutes.
yeah, yeah.
Um, do you ever come across? No, we'll look at it this way. There's a culture of toxic productivity where always working, always being busy, doing more, working all the time is glorified. And I think until we know the context behind it, we might realize what the true motivations are underneath. And maybe it'll make sense, right? Like this is why they work so much, work so hard, and et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, there are people who have a story where they want free time. They want to take back their time. They want to charge more. They want to reinvent their businesses so they can actually do these things that you talk about. But do you ever find people struggle with that part of just like, now I have free time, now what? Do you ever have people who are just like
Yeah,
blocked from
yeah.
increasing their prices, reimagining their business in the way that you help with your teachings and with your book? Because it's like, well, if it's easy work, it's effortless, but it's highly valuable and it's freeing up that much time. Like, what the hell am I gonna do with my day? Like, are people out there so inundated with toxic productivity habits that they even block themselves from that freedom? And like, what would you say to that?
I think of a man, because I'm a man, so it's easy access. Married to a woman that he hates, who doesn't like his kids, who doesn't want to be home, and who doesn't have the courage to get divorced and start again, and who already golfs a lot and who already kind of goes to the bar. He needs another excuse to get out of the house. And so workaholism is an amazing fucking excuse because society kind of honors the man that works 70, 80 hours a week. And it reminds me of something that Philip McKernan, that you and I know and respect. He said workaholics don't have a work problem, they have a home problem.
I don't think I remember that saying or that quote, but that is
Yeah, it's so fucking
so
true, eh?
good.
So true.
Holy
So when you say
shit.
toxic So when you say toxic productivity, it's only toxic if you actually secretly want the other thing.
Right.
So if you actually, like, I think David Goggins, for example, right now is in a space where he has so much self hatred and there's so much self rejection that it actually brings him comfort to work out 3 hours a day and to constantly berate himself on Instagram and YouTube and to never think he's enough because it's speaking to where he's at right now. And that's cool. Like if he's in that, and I think Gary Vaynerchuk spent 25 years
Oh, we're
working
naming
100
names.
hours, 100 hours a week because he was dealing with some shit. And that's kind of cool. Like if you're in that, whatever, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson talks about how much he loves his family. That dude works like 150 hours a week and he brags about it. So there's a thing in his head, it seems, I've never met him, but he's kind of equating working a zillion hours a year to showing love, which is cool though. Like I'm not hating on it. I'm not. Like I'm not saying that's toxic. I'm saying that's a really cool expression of love. Like to him, that is normal and that is honorable and that is beautiful. So productivity, I think some of us get to a place where we need to like do shit. We need to do shit, do shit, do shit, do shit, do shit. And if we are in that space, amazing. Download the fucking apps and do 70 things a day and have a 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. routine that rivals most Fortune 500 CEOs. That's cool. Do whatever, do you, bro. You know, but if you want something different, if you want time freedom, if you want space and you want more abundance and you love your family and you wish you could be with them more and you wish you could pursue those fucking hobbies that you never have and you're tired of your own excuses and you're ready to face those demons and you can't blame your schedule anymore for the reason why you haven't learned piano or you haven't been to the place where your grandfather was born or you haven't got out there and actually dated seriously. Like if you're ready to face that shit, then yeah, this book can help you because it'll create space for you. You can make a lot of fucking money in a shorter period of time. So you can do other stuff with that. But I don't think objectively that is better than what you're doing now. Yeah, so it's this really
I
cool
love it.
dance. It's a
Well,
cool
that
dance.
kind of that's beautiful because that circles back to how we opened
Yeah.
up this whole conversation
Yeah.
around meaning, how
Yeah.
we create the meaning, and essentially it's really up to value is in the eye of the beholder, and it's changing all the time. So, at
Yeah.
one part of your life, what matters is produce, 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 work, work, work. But then when something switches, and you're like, I want quality time with my wife, with my kids, for my hobbies, to travel, to date, to go see, go to where
To
my
be with
ancestors were
myself, to be
from, to
with
be with
myself.
myself. And it's like that's the dichotomy we got to balance. I feel like there's almost like a letting go of that thing that was working, of working all the time. When this thing is starting to matter, it's hard to it's work to be able to free yourself and let that go and move into this next purpose, this next season of actually this is the next thing. And this is what is meaningful for me now. This is what my purpose is now.
If that's
Um,
true. If that's
yeah.
true.
So there's like an authenticity to
Yeah, for
being
sure.
appropriate to what part of the path you are in, and that changes as you move forward. And it's the meaning that you associate, that you assign it.
Yeah, and and to your point, dude, it changes so fast. Like I had some amazing Chinese food leftovers for breakfast today. And if you had offered me anything else for breakfast half an hour later, I would have said no because I'm like full. Like
Right? Yeah.
I'm good. I don't care how delicious your breakfast sandwich is. I don't care if it was a Michelin star chef. I don't care if it was flown in. I'm fucking full. I'm good. So it's always changing. Our needs are always surfacing and being met and, shifting based on, our experience and the people that we care about and the people that we don't care about or used to care about and who we're becoming and shifting. Yeah, it's a constantly changing dance. And someone that would have been ready to give you $100,000 to work with you for a year, maybe they're good today. Maybe yesterday they were ready and actually something shifted and they're fine. They don't need you anymore, which is beautiful. Like good for them. But somebody who was fine yesterday needs you today. Because it's this constant
It's
thing,
ebb and flow. There's waves and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah. And none of it is better or worse than anything. It's just ways that we can kind of help each other with this stuff when we need it, in these moments where we need it. Yeah. And it's
hmm.
beautiful when we can. It's so beautiful when you can show up for a client in precisely the way they're desperate for in that moment. It's such a beautiful gift. And this book is just about connecting with that gift and being able to see it from their eyes so that you can, create an opportunity for them to invest at a level that will activate them sufficiently to
Mm,
experience the outcome that they crave so
yeah.
much. Yeah.
Kevin,
That's it. Just
what a
that's
beautiful way to complete this conversation, man. Tell us where we can find the book.
I don't know, maybe I'll just take it off Amazon. Maybe I'll just kill it in the next little bit. But if
That
it's
would be such a Kevin
you
thing
can
to
it
do.
might, I
I'm
might
like,
actually
here's
do
my
that.
book.
You can
I'm
search
not selling it anymore.
yeah, you could search Amazon for it. If you want to learn more about me, you can visit www.kevindubrosky.com. That's how you spell my name. KEVINDUBROSKY.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And if there's something that you see that speaks to you, you can reach out. And there's some information there about how to reach out to me if you'd like some help with something.
Do you have any final thoughts before we part ways today?
Hmm.
For the
Final
Yeah,
thoughts.
for the person here listening.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to reiterate something that we spoke of earlier that's so weird and so true and powerful. And that is that charging a fee that is appropriately high, given the nature of your world-class intervention, is a beautiful, honorable act of love and a gift to your client. That's it.
Wow. Kevin, you're such a gift yourself.
Thank you.
In my
Thank
life,
you.
the contribution that you have made in my life, in my business over the last number of years, the wild and deep conversations that we get to have and enjoy together. I miss you now that you are in the West Coast. Um, and such an honor to just share space with you and have this conversation and have you share your brilliance. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Yeah. It's been fun. And I love you too.